The Taiwan Strait is arguably the most dangerous body of water in the world today. For decades, it has served as a buffer between two competing ideologies and two global superpowers. However, as China's military might grows and the United States reaffirms its commitment to its democratic partner, the risk of a miscalculation has reached a fever pitch. This isn't just a regional dispute, it's a structural competition between the world's two largest economies. At stake is not only the sovereignty of a democratic island of 23 million people, but the very order of the Indo-Pacific region. Today, we examine whether we are witnessing the inevitable march toward a third world war, or if diplomacy can still find a narrow path to peace. To understand the present, we must look back to 1949. Following a brutal civil war, Mao Zedong's Communist Party established the People's Republic of China on the mainland, while Chiang Kai-shek's nationalist forces retreated to the island of Taiwan. Beijing has since viewed Taiwan as a breakaway province that must eventually be reunited with the motherland. For the People's Republic, this is a matter of national rejuvenation and finishing the business of the Civil War. For Taiwan, which has since evolved into a vibrant, high-tech democracy, its identity is increasingly distinct from the mainland. This historical baggage forms the bedrock of every military exercise and diplomatic spot we see in the headlines today.
Why does a relatively small island matter so much to global strategists? Geography is destiny. Taiwan is the central link in what military planners call the first island chain. This string of islands, stretching from Japan to the Philippines, acts as a natural barrier that restricts China's navy from easy access to the deep waters of the Western Pacific. For Beijing, controlling Taiwan would break this containment and allow its submarines and aircraft to project power directly toward Hawaii and the U.S. West Coast. For Washington, Taiwan is an unsinkable aircraft carrier that prevents a hostile power from dominating the maritime heart of Asia.
Beyond military strategy, there is an economic reality that makes Taiwan indispensable to the modern world: semiconductors. Taiwan produces over 60% of the world's semiconductors, and a staggering 92% of the most advanced chips used in everything from iPhones to F-35 fighter jets. This is often called Taiwan's Silicon Shield. A conflict in the Strait would not just stop shipping, it would effectively halt the global digital economy. If the TSMC factories in Hsinchu were to go dark, the world would face an economic depression unlike anything seen since the 1930s. This dependency makes the preservation of peace a matter of global survival, not just local politics. The balance of power in the region is shifting. China's People's Liberation Army Navy is now the largest in the world by hull count, and Beijing has spent decades developing carrier-killer missiles designed to keep the U.S. Navy at bay. On the other side, the U.S. has increased its freedom of navigation transits and is helping Taiwan transition to a porcupine strategy, stockpiling small, mobile, and lethal weapons that would make an invasion too costly to attempt. With both sides rapidly modernizing their forces, the margin for error is shrinking. The frequency of military encounters in the air and at sea has increased significantly, turning the strait into a tinderbox. Diplomatically, the situation is governed by a complex and often confusing set of rules. The U.S. maintains the One China policy, recognizing Beijing as the legal government of China while maintaining unofficial relations with Taiwan. Under the Taiwan Relations Act, the U.S. is committed to providing Taiwan the means to defend itself. However, for decades, the U.S. has practiced strategic ambiguity, not explicitly stating whether it would intervene militarily if China attacked. This policy is designed to deter Beijing from invading and Taipei from declaring formal independence. But as pressure mounts, many in Washington are calling for strategic clarity, arguing that the old rules no longer fit the new reality. Conflict might not start with a full-scale invasion. Instead, China has ramped up gray zone tactics, actions that fall just below the threshold of open war. This includes daily incursions into Taiwan's Air Defense Identification Zone, ADIZ, cyber attacks, and economic coercion. These tactics are designed to exhaust Taiwan's military and demoralize its population. The fear among analysts is that a simple accident, A mid-air collision or a stray missile could spiral out of control. In a world of interconnected alliances, a spark in the Taiwan Strait could trigger a chain reaction involving Japan, Australia, and eventually the entire NATO alliance, leading to a conflict of global proportions.
Is World War III inevitable? Not necessarily. While the rhetoric is sharp and the military posture is aggressive, both the US and China have everything to lose in a direct conflict. The economic cost alone would likely collapse both nations' domestic stability. History shows that war is often the result of miscalculation rather than intent. The challenge for the coming decade is whether these two superpowers can manage their competition without crossing the red lines that lead to catastrophe. For now, the Taiwan Strait remains the most critical pivot point in global politics, a place where the future of the 21st century will be decided. Stay informed, stay objective, and watch this space closely.